All right, I call this board meeting to order. We have 2 board members absent, and we have student representative Emily House here. We are missing our clerk, and so I will appoint an acting clerk. Jennifer, would you be willing to?
Yes.
The acting clerk, okay. And that doesn't require, no. All right, we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Right. I would like to propose an amendment to the agenda. We had the last item of item 12 was a closed session, which is just our standard process to do a formative evaluation in December. And since we don't have all board members here, I would propose that we amend the agenda to take that off and put it on the next board meeting when we have full participation. Sure. So I'll move to amend the agenda to remove item 12, the closed session, and move it to the following board meeting.
Second.
Motion by myself and second by Lynn. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The agenda is amended, and so we should...
I'll make a motion to approve the amended agenda.
All right. Motion by Lynn, second by Shannon. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The amended agenda is approved. I just realized you made these notes. Sorry. Okay. All right, so we have an approved agenda, so we can move into the celebration of excellence and Rocori crowds. We have some pretty exciting athletic achievements to celebrate tonight. So, yeah.
All right, cross country and everybody associated, come up here.
It's a big crew coming. Okay.
Come on in.
All right. Hi guys, welcome. We've seen you guys before. Hi.
Hi.
Coaches, you guys can come up too.
That's only me tonight.
That's only you?
Yes,
Okay,
yeah. I'll
sounds
just stay
good.
at my car.
Okay, awesome. Do you guys want to do a quick introduction of yourself, and then I'll talk about your award a little bit? But
Okay. I'm Coach Bauer. I'm the co-head cross-country coach with Lisa Swan Anderson. And I'll let each of the...
I'm Carly Kramer and I'm a senior.
I'm Lena Beery and I'm in 9th grade.
I'm Caitlin Motter and I'm in 8th grade. I'm Paige Larson and I'm in 8th grade.
wonderful. So you guys are back to receive a board award because of your excellent achievements in cross country, and you guys participated in state. Do you want to talk a little bit about your state participation? Is there somebody that wants to speak to that?
Carly, yeah, she could start. She's the oldest. And then they can tell each how they did at the state meet.
That's awesome.
Okay.
Yeah, we all 4 qualified. Individually, we were close as a team. If you have 5 people, you're a team. But yeah, we all placed and placed within the top 8 individually at sections. And yeah, I placed 129th at state.
I placed 80th.
I placed 19th. I placed 33rd.
Well, that's incredible. You guys continue to just achieve at super high levels and represent Rocori well, and we're just want to honor you and thank you for doing such a good job in honoring our school. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Awesome. And I know, Carly, you have signed, do you want to speak to that a little bit? So you're moving on next year from us.
Yes, I will be attending the University of Minnesota to run cross country and track.
Wonderful, that's awesome.
Can we get a picture of
Yeah.
sexy here? Trying not to get Brock's chair in there. And we're ready? 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Let me give you guys some words. All right, Carly. Paige. Thank you. And Lena. There you go. And Caitlin. All right. Awesome, wonderful, thank you guys very much.
Thank you.
And then we'll call up, you guys can, go sit down.
Okay.
All right, okay, so the next award that we, this is another exciting award that I get to present on behalf of the school board. I get to honor state diver participants Olivia Matter and Maggie Headley. Are they in attendance?
They're coming.
They're coming. Sounds good.
Possibly. How do you feel about speaking? Okay, right up here, ladies.
Welcome. My name's Kara Hobbinen. On behalf of the Rocori School Board, I get to present you both with Rocori Proud Awards for your participation in the state championship for diving. And let's see, Olivia, here's your award, and Maggie Headley, here you are. So do you guys want to speak to the competition? Where was it at? Do you have any details about the dives you did? And then if you want to talk about where you placed.
For me personally, the competition was difficult. It was very close for most of the meet. I was behind I was ahead for like 4 points and like after 8 dives. And then I did good, and then I got first.
It's incredible. In the entire state. That's awesome. And what was one of your favorite dives or dives that you placed particularly well, or?
My front 2.5 I did pretty well on.
Okay, that's awesome. And then do you want to speak a little to your state?
It was a tough one. It was fun. I did not play super well, but it was a good time.
Well, it's quite an achievement to make state, and both of you made state, and that's just fantastic. And I know it's a lot of dedication. I've actually seen you guys diving when I'm with my kids in swim lessons, and it's super fun to watch you guys dive. And I know it's a really gutsy sport that takes perfection and lots of practice. And so, just congratulations on your achievement.
Thank you.
All right.
Take a picture.
Okay. You want to go here? Or just
I'll do that.
All right. Do you want me to come to you? I can roll you. All right, Brock. All right. Well, this is, so on behalf of the board, I get to present you with a Rocori Proud, and here's your award if you want. I can hold it or you got it. So your particular award is related to all-state academic honors for football. And so this award is related to how you perform both in school as well as on the football field. So this is quite a double achievement. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. So I had a good enough GPA and I played enough varsity time that I got to get this academic all-state award.
That's great. I think this speaks a little bit to the importance of athletics, because you're performing high on and learning discipline and all that stuff through your sports, but you're also doing that in the classroom, and so that just shows the dedication and persistence that you have. So congratulations, and wish you the best of luck with your healing, especially.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good job, son. Good job.
All-star game participants. Hello, come on in. All right, my name's Kara Hobbit and I'm the school board chair, and I get to present you on behalf of the school board with the Rocori Proud Awards, and it's in relation to your state football all-star games. So Andrew and Caleb, do you want to pronounce your say your full name?
Andrew Anderson. Caleb Schuweiler.
Okay. And you both were named to the All-Star game participants. Do you want to speak a little bit to that honor?
It's a huge honor to be selected out of the many football players and play with the best of the best.
We practiced for 3 days and I had a game on Saturday.
How did the game go?
Yeah, we lost 13-3.
Yeah, but it's still a huge honor to be selected, and a great ending to already incredible season for you guys. So congratulations, and on behalf of the board, we just want to congratulate you for your achievement on the field.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, you guys can stay up here because we've got the big one.
Hey guys, come on in. Add parents. I don't know what to say. It's gonna look like we have.
All right. You guys can all squeeze in here. I did. You guys all have blonde hair, what a coincidence. It's all natural. All right. So maybe I'll stand. Let's get everybody in. Can all the parents see? And are you guys in position? Okay. So my name is Kara Hobb and I'm the Rocori School Board Chair, and so on behalf of the Rocori School Board, I have the privilege of presenting you all with a Rocori Proud for your performance and achievement this season on the field. And it was quite a season. Yeah, it's just a very exciting season. And do you guys have a team captain at all?
4, yeah.
4? Do any of you want to talk a little bit about some of the highlights of your season?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so we were 6-2 going into playoffs, and so we kind of had the goal going to the state tournament, and played 2 games in the section, and we ended up winning it. And then each week was another game that we played tough, and we ended up making the state championship. And we never took an opponent too lightly, and we got after it and won.
That's awesome. And I was super lucky to be able to go to watch you guys play. And I am by no means a sports commentator, but I do have to say what was really struck me during that game is they had some really great stars on the opposing team, and that was very clear. But I really saw you guys working as a team the whole time, and it didn't seem like you guys got shook, when things wouldn't go perfectly. So it just kind of shows it really is a lot about the physical aspect, but it's also a mental game and a leadership and teamwork thing. So I just thought that was super cool and wanted to point that out to you guys. So what a great ending to a wonderful season, and congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Coach. All right, and Coach, do you have any words or anything you want to share about your team?
I just would say, I've been doing this a long time, but I haven't been around a team that's grown from, the beginning of the season to the end of the season as much as these guys. And a lot of that has to do with their ability to come together and grow as a family. It is a really tight-knit group, and I think that's really what helped this team persevere when, the chips were on the line and everything was in that last couple plays. So it's been an absolute pleasure to coach these guys. They're incredible young men, both on the field as we saw, but I think you're going to notice that when these guys get out 4 years, 15 years into their life, they're going to do incredible things there as well, which is just as important. So, congratulations, guys.
Yeah, thank you. And then we have the luxury of having a lot of parents in the audience tonight too. I know that this is, and I'm just learning it with my young kids, but this is years and years of dedication and special shoes and running and time off work and all of that. So, you know, your kids owe you guys a lot of gratitude for that as well. So, and your achievements, their achievements are also yours. So, congratulations. Should we do a quick pick?
How have you guys ever been this quiet?
Yeah,
right.
All right. Thank you guys very much. Have a good night.
Yeah, I got it.
You're going well. That's all you're talking about. It's all warmed up. What?
No, I got
Wind farms are not on the agenda.
Public hearing. Don't want to go through that again.
It's not really.
I went to a commissioners meeting 4 years straight.
I'm just gonna call a recess.
Never missed one.
Yeah. Or no, we're gonna.
Never missed one.
Over through the agenda, right? Okay. Perfect. So.
Yeah, wait till Shaq comes back.
Oh yeah, that's right. I'm gonna call a quick recess. If that's okay. You can pause the camera. We'll wait for Shannon to come back. All right, we'll come back from recess quick, and then because we can't start truth and taxation until 6 p.m., we do have the opportunity to move ahead and get through some orders of business. There is a 7 o'clock concert that I'd like to allow board members to attend if possible. So let's move ahead to item 7, the consent agenda. Is
Motion to approve.
motion by Lynn,
Second.
second by Shannon. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The consent agenda is approved. Action items. The first up on that is the January meeting. This is in regards to the organizational meeting. Normally we have it on the 2nd and 4th Mondays of the month, but the state statute requires that the organizational meeting be held as soon as possible. And so we are proposing that we move it to that first Monday. It's not as convenient, but it's continuing to be in accordance with state statute.
Great.
So, okay, so is there a motion to approve the change of the organizational meeting to Monday, January 6th? Can I make a motion?
So I'll second it.
Motion by Jennifer, second by Lynn. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The motion is approved. We have a resolution to accept a donation. This is again a requirement by state statute that we formally accept donations. This allows it to become officially our property. It is a resolution, and there was a generous donation from Simonson Lumber for $200. Was it for $200 or for the drill?
It was an in-kind
I think.
of some equipment.
Oh, in kind of some equipment, okay. So, you know, these donations are always really appreciated and, you know, are a great part of our school that we have supportive community around us.
I think it's important to do the public thank you too. I mean, it's a resolution saying thank you for your donation. And so anytime we can get coverage of our people donating in the paper or on camera, we absolutely should do that.
Yep.
Make a motion to accept the donation from Simons and Lumber.
Second. Motion by Lynn, second by Jennifer. Is there any further discussion? This is a resolution, so we will begin with Shannon. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Aye. The resolution is adopted. Let's see, okay, so individual director contracts. This is the last of the contracts for the 19 to 21 contracts. So that's exciting to kind of have it all wrapped up in a bow. The director, it's approval of all the director positions and contracts. Do you want to speak about the process?
Sure. So we started the process back on September 13th when the directors and the negotiations team met. That would be Lynn, Sunny, and Jason, and myself. At that time, the directors had a proposal. Negotiations team met on strategy to negotiate with the directors. At that time, it was determined that we should hire a consultant. We involved our attorney, and that resulted in the negotiations team moving forward with the directors in a separate contract situation. So we separated all the contracts rather than having a group. That also took us through the directors through a job description exercise with our consultant. The directors had to do a lot of work to prepare what they're doing in their jobs. That was sent off to Mr. Bjorkman, and then he came back with a job evaluation placement. From that, the district also researched like-sized districts throughout the state of Minnesota and our regional salary information. The district then developed their proposals to the other directors and gave those to those individuals. At that time, the district allowed the directors then an opportunity to meet with the negotiations team, and from that, the negotiations team took that input and came back to the directors with no changes. So basically, what we'd gone through, the exercise we'd gone through was the offer that the district was making to the directors. And you see those in front of you tonight. So it was started September 13th, it's now December 16th, so it was not a quick, slow process. It was a process on which both the directors and the district did a lot of work to come to what you have to tonight.
And the process we used with the outside consultants also can be used in the future to make sure that we're in line with other positions.
Correct. Part of our consultant and also our attorney to develop the contracts then also gave us the ability to, through the job evaluation system, to put those positions in category. So we can, down the road, use ranges and things like that to be best in our market for those positions.
And this was something that we had not done. I guess we probably run our games with them in the past, to this degree anyway.
No, we hadn't done it for a while, and these positions all have changed a lot in the last 5-10 years as we've increased the use of technology. Buildings and grounds changed as we've added built and added on to things. Community ed, of course, has continued to change as we've added new programs down there, so it was time to look at them. And in fact, the food services, up until the present person, we didn't have a full-time position. We'd been sharing one, so all of these needed to be looked at.
And was part of the process just getting each one of those positions with now job descriptions in line with what other schools and really the outside, because there's an outside...
And the market.
Right, there's an outside market that also affects where these positions should be paid. So it was really overhauling those positions with what they should be paid fairly and where we were at and making them fit into where, we needed them to be, whether they had to move one way or the other, I guess.
I think the other thing too is that Mr. Bjorklund did test it, so as far as the pay equity is concerned, so we were in line with pay equity. And then finally, the package or the packages comes in on target with what our budget has asked it to be. So, those are the things that the board asks from its negotiations team to make sure we're doing what's right, fair for our employees, and also what's right with the district, and also budgetarily in line.
Any other questions about the director contracts? Is there a motion to approve the contracts for the individual directors?
We can do them all in one motion. I guess I'll make a motion that we approve the 5 director contracts.
Motion by Lynn,
Second.
second by Jennifer. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Director contracts are approved.
Chair, I mean, it is 6 o'clock, so if we want to jump back to the truth and taxation, we can do that at this time.
Perfect. Perfect timing. Okay, so we will jump back in the agenda to item 5, the truth and taxation presentation, and we have Director of Business Services, Beth Bertram, here to present the information.
Someone tell me where my play button is.
Under show.
Thank you.
I think the first time I've
Like
ever
this.
had to give technology advice.
I'm pretty sure that was the first time in a year and a half.
How do you work that spreadsheet?
Write it down,
You almost
Beth.
weren't sure you
That's
should say
the
it.
first time.
Did I possibly do it?
Thank you very much. So our truth and taxation tonight, I'm going to quickly review our district revenue sources, our final numbers from last year, our budgeted revenue and expenditures for fiscal year 20, some of our enrollment history and projections, get into our levy basics in detail, talk about our property tax rate, and then any impact of the change for this year. So first is a breakdown of our general fund revenues from 2019, just to show the percentage of what's going on. So our state aids are by far the largest part of our general fund revenue at 80%. Our levy hovers right around 14% every year. And then we've got a little bit that comes in federal aid, and then other items like fees and tuition, etc. But by and large, state aid is our biggest revenue source for the general fund. This is an overview of our audited numbers, our final numbers from last year for our revenues, and then our budget for this year is in the blue. So overall, we've got an increase in the general fund of about 5.5%. So we've got a 2% increase from the state that they give us every year, that per pupil amount, and then the rest of it is mostly our increase in enrollment that we're seeing. We've also got an increase in special education aid. That one always is based on our expenditures from the year before, and we keep spending more, so then we get more aid the next year. And then our enrollment increase also flows through to transportation capital outlay. You'll see student activities are up there. This year we were required to bring those back under school board control. So you'll see those as part of the general fund again. Food service is up a little bit as well for our enrollment, and then our reimbursement rates always increase. Community service is up quite a bit because of our additions of Spartan Spot. Debt service, you're going to see a variance there to the negative. That's the only fund. So in the prior year we had that really big logger funding. It was like $20-some million, and so we got a lot of interest revenue from that account that we had open. So you're not going to see anything similar to that for this year. And then our other post-employment benefit fund also has interest revenue in it, and that's it for that fund for the year. Overview on expenditures. Since our revenue is going up 5.5, you'd expect our expenditures to go up as well, and they are. We've got some increased staffing that's tied to our enrollment increases, and then we've got the contract settlements that happened this year as well. So general fund up about 5%, transportation 2.2. We did some changes this year with negotiating our transportation contracts, and we actually cut some routes. So we kind of right-sized, and that helps with our expenditures. Capital outlay, it looks like a big increase if you look at our audited number of 1.16 from last year and the 1.6 million this year. What happens with that every year in the curriculum cycle is we always budget their full allocation, but depending on what year we're in the curriculum cycle, we way underspend that. So in a big year for reading or math, you'll spend the whole allocation. In a smaller year, we're going to underspend, and we'll carry it over until we get to the big years again. Again, student activities is in there for the first time. You'll see the rest of the funds also are in line with the revenues. Food service up a bit, contracts settled again, community service for the addition of Spartan Spot. Debt service is going to see a big reduction because of that refunding, and then that other post-employment benefit is really tied to our severance expenses, so it just depends where our health insurance is at and then who retires during the year. Do you guys have questions on any of this? Just stop me, by the way. I'm going to go pretty quick because we have plenty of other things on the meeting. So this sheet is a breakdown of our general fund expenditures. We've got it broken out by the wages and salaries, benefits, our contracted services, supplies, and other expenses. And by and large, we spend most of our money on staff. We are a personnel-centric kind of business, so about 84% of our budget goes towards employee costs. We've got about 10% that goes to various services or utilities, items like that. About 4% for supplies, and then 3% for other kind of items that don't fall into any of those categories. And it's a very similar percentage if you look at what we are audited at versus what our budget is. A quick look at our fund balances. There's 5 different categories for our fund balance. So the first is unspendable. So essentially things that are in prepaids and inventory. The cash is already out the door. We can't spend it, not spendable. Restricted items would be those that are legislatively required. So we've got some revenue streams that we have to use for specific expenses, and if we don't use all the revenue in the year, then I have to carry it over to the next year. Things like our operating capital, for example, we have a restricted fund balance for that. Committed fund balance are things that the school board has specifically said our balance is for severance. So we've got an OPEB trust fund. And we've got a little bit of committed fund balance that'll help be a cushion between when that trust runs out and when we can levy the next year. Our assigned fund balances are for any other internal purposes. We assign for things like the targeted services, like our summer school programs and our activity funds. And then unassigned is basically everything that's left over from that. So this is our fund balance history for the past 15 years. So the pink is the unrestricted fund balance. So that's the balance that the Department of Ed uses for the SOD calculation. So SOD is statutory operating debt. That's that percent they watch to make sure we've got enough fund balance according to what they want. And then our unassigned fund balance is in the green. So from fiscal year 18 to 19, we did see a slight increase in that unassigned fund balance, but the percentage of expenditures actually went down from about 4.7 to 4.6. So our board policy is to get up to 6%. So we're still working on that. So although we had a little jump, we still are going down as far as that percent goes, and it's something we'll work on for the fiscal year 20 budget. Here is our enrollment. We've got the projected 19-20 for this year, and that second to last column on the right, and then the projected for 2021, and that projection is based on a 5-year retention ratio history. So the past couple years, we've had roughly 20 students for a jump there. We had a slight decrease in 17, and then this fiscal year, we saw 116 students, or projecting about 116 students more. The majority of that is open enrollment. Recorded gains and net open enrollment for last year was 314 students. So that means we're taking in 314 more students from other districts than what we're sending out of our own residents. So it's a very big gain for us. And then since most of our revenue is based on state aid, and that state aid is based on our pupil units and how many kiddos we have, this is a graph of the gen ed aid for the past 7 years. So we've been consistently seeing a 2% increase. And then the state also weights those students. So the amount of money we get for K-6 is one amount, and then for 7-12 we get a little bit higher amount for those kiddos. So when we're looking at next year, it's 6,567 for K-6, and then 7-12 is at almost 7,900. This would be our revenue change due to enrollment. So taking a look at those actual enrollment numbers and then putting that general state aid in. These are obviously just estimates of it because there's lots of different categories that go into our Gen Ed aid. But for this year, we saw a revenue increase of approximately 1.1 million. And next year, if we do come in with the projected number of students to have 41 more students, it's a revenue increase of approximately 650,000. Okay, on to some of the levy info. So our adjusted net tax capacity is basically how we calculate our levy and how it gets out to all of our property tax owners. So we've got another big increase this year, 9%. So we're at 16.9 million. This is the first year we're actually up to those pre-crash numbers. So back in 2009, no, even further back, 2008, we're at 16.2. So we're finally up there, but we still, our property values are still not as high as what people are selling for. So you're still going to see increases in the next couple of years. This is our overall levy for 2019. 2019 paid 2020, so we'll levy now in December and it'll be paid throughout the 2020 calendar year. So we've got an increase in the total levy of 368,000, it's 5.94%. But because our tax base went up by 9%, our tax rate is actually down this year. So we went from 39.9% to 38.6%. So if you look at your property tax statement, if your home value did not increase from last year, even though Rocori's overall levy went up, you're going to pay less property taxes than you did last year. If you see a 5 to 6% increase in your home, you're probably going to see a 2% increase or so in your property tax value. So it's really tied to where your property taxes are. And this is of course just the school. You also have the county rates and your city or township as well. So this is a breakdown of our property taxes that are determined by legislation versus those are the ones that are determined by voters. So by and large, most of our taxes are the ones determined by legislation. The biggest increase you're going to see there is in debt service, and that's because of our long-term facilities maintenance bond that we did, and I'll explain that a little bit later when we get into the detail. So these are our general fund levy categories. So anything in red are things that are new or sunsetted. So for this year, the state changed the board-approved referendum that we used to do, the $300 per pupil, and moved it into local optional revenue. So the dollar value is exactly the same for that per pupil amount as last year. It's just that the board no longer needs to go through and actually approve the referendum anymore. It's just something that you can choose during the levy process. And Rocori has elected to do the maximum $724 each year it's been available. So our detailed breakout of the levy, this one is for the general fund. So you're going to see that first tier board approved referendum has a pretty big decrease, 422, and then that local optional revenue is going up to 557. So the net increase there is due to enrollment because our levy is based off of our student enrollment. The other thing you're going to see in this one is the OPEB is going to go down. Those are always tied to our actual expenses from the year before, and then our long-term facilities maintenance is going down. So we issued that bond this spring. So instead of the levy that we do going into the fund, our capital fund, and paying for projects directly, we bonded to get a bunch of money now to do big projects, and then we'll use the levy to pay the debt service later. So our community service levy is basically 4 different levies. It's very consistent from year to year. It's just based on the number of kids we have in our district from ages 0 to 4. So it's up about 2% from the prior year, but very small dollar amounts compared to the rest of our levies. And this is the debt service one. You'll see that big increase for that debt service levy, that $289,000 for changing long-term facilities maintenance, and then we also have the abatement bond in there as well that we did for the high school parking lot improvements. So that is our entire levy. There is an option always to go and get a property tax refund if you qualify. It's on the Stearns County website. And if you've got questions, either Brad or I are available. We can help you walk through your property tax statements if any questions are.
Are there any questions from the board on the truth in taxation piece? Yeah, so this is just a presentation and no formal action is required, but until later on in the agenda. But this is the opportunity for comments and requests from visitors to discuss truth in taxation questions. Otherwise, if there's just a general question that can be addressed right now too. So is there any comments or requests? All right, seeing no hands raised, we will move on. All right, action item D, new position. Director Hillman is here. Come join us at the table. Director Hillman recommended a community education program coordinator position at the previous board meeting, and we discussed it and asked for some more information. That information has been shared, and Stephanie is here to also answer any more questions that you may have. Is there anything that you want to share, present right off the bat?
I guess I just want to make sure that there is clarity, so if you do have any questions, I'm more than happy to answer. I know that it can be a little bit of a gray area, we talked about that for a bit, but I'm very confident in what this position will bring to the community and what it will enable us to do, not just in these areas, but in the other areas like ABE and even in early childhood, being that I'll be able to focus more in that space as well. So it's not just the growth in this area that has prompted this, it's the growth in the entire program.
I appreciate all the information that everyone has given us. I'm still concerned about the process of how we got here, because in the past we've kind of talked about, you know, when there's new positions, it should be part of the budget process in the spring, so that we look at all the needs to make sure if there's competing needs, that everybody is getting a chance to look at the budget and look at, you know, needs of other programs. And I know we said we'd have extra resources because of doing the kid care program within, but I don't know that we ever had a discussion of, we have extra resources, you know, what are the priorities for spending or using those resources? Maybe the discussion went on at the administrative level, but I didn't feel like the board ever talked about that. So I'm not real comfortable approving this mid-year right now. I just think it should be, you know, talk more about in light of all of the needs of the district.
Then I can appreciate that comment, and I understand it completely. But as has been stated, you know, we did say that we would capture revenue and then try to reinvest it. And this specific position is going to help us with our youth enrichment, our adult enrichment, and the largest part of that comes starting May 31st. And if we wait until we start planning in January, February, March for our budget for next year for this position, we're going to miss out on the opportunity, like we did with Spartan Spot, to hire. We hired Brittany early so she could develop the program and get it going. If we don't bring this position on here, then this summer enrichment isn't going to happen in a timely manner. And so I absolutely understand what you're saying there, but I want to advocate that the timing of this position is needed because we want to be ready when the big part of the youth enrichment, adult enrichment goes on, which is summertime.
I would say too, a lot of that program, just to speak to that, does happen year-round, right? so I appreciate the schedule that is set, but it is a K-12 schedule for September through May, and our programs are 12 months out of the year. So, and that's another reason why it just didn't align, because of when we took on the program and when the funding became available, and we felt good about what was being proposed and looked forward to the budget.
It's just we didn't really have any discussion at the board level of the extra resources.
Yeah, I guess that's my question. So when we say we would reinvest, was there a decision made at the board that it would be reinvested specifically in community ed, or would it be reinvested in the district wherever it's needed? Who decided that?
That's right, I don't think we had that discussion. I don't remember having that discussion.
My impression or takeaway from that discussion was that we recognized that there was maybe some short-term challenges to taking on kid care, but we felt that it was worth it to our community for those short-term setbacks, because in the end, we would be able to better benefit our entire, like our community, and even those, and specifically those students, and directly. But I didn't feel like I didn't know what that was gonna look like. I didn't know if it was another person to coordinate activities, or if it was, more supplies or better space or what it was. But I felt like we did kind of discuss that it was gonna go back into our community, is kind of the words that we used. But no, we didn't.
We didn't have a discussion about how.
And I'll own that, Lynn. I'll own that as superintendent, I need to be communicating better. But I also want just to remind people that the decision that we made up to this point, we have not steered the board wrong, where the board is cutting or going backwards on programs. And so when this position came up on the last time, and now back here again, I wouldn't be recommending if I didn't feel it was, one, financially feasible, or two, what we need in order for our programs to, as we say, make a difference tomorrow. And so I'll own the fact that it didn't get communicated out the best, or the process wasn't the best. I absolutely own that. But we're here now, and so I'm just asking for the board to take the recommendation from Ms. Hillman and myself, and move forward, or not move forward, whichever.
Can I ask for a clarification on the job summary? The job summary includes a lot of programming that we already have, but some of the conversations that we've had, we're talking about adding programming, and then kind of like that being, sorry.
No, I just, are you looking at the job description? Is that what you're saying?
So I'm on page 114 looking at the job description for the Director of Community Education, and it details the programs that this person would oversee. And I'm trying to understand if this is kind of taking over what we already have and just making sure, enhancing it, and making sure we are retaining our good employees related to these positions, to these departments, or if it's growing and enhancing.
Both.
Okay.
So right now, I'll just use swim lessons as an example. Takes a lot of time coordinating the training and working with, we have another teacher in the district who's very helpful with getting them onboarded and ready for the summer and teaching those lessons. Getting all of those staff hired, making sure that they have their licensure, making sure that we can get them all at the training, and then being at that facility when they start takes a good chunk of time. And then to make them feel supported and allow for all that communication with parents and deal with those situations. This is one example of a bigger program that, yes, we already have, but I would say that level of support for that staff is probably not as good as it should be. And so improving on that. The other point is just the sheer quantity of opportunities that come to the community. Right now, the amount of opportunities that they have are very limited and are very much the routine. And when I was hired, it was expressed that we would like to see that grow and diversify. And right now, I can't feasibly do that with the staffing that we have and all the other areas of growth that we've seen. And that's that other document that I had included, the RCD update, just noting some of those changes and that have happened since the fall of 16 to the fall of 19, and now where we'd like to go from there. So developing the ABE program, bringing in more opportunities for youth enrichment, youth rec, coordinating all those schedules, making sure the facilities are all there. It takes a good deal of time and energy to put into supporting those staff, organizing all that information.
Do you guys have questions about it?
Well, I think, Lynn brings up a great point. That was definitely a topic that we talked about a lot before Brad was on board about and Jennifer, trying to make sure that we didn't bring things to the table that we weren't expecting to come to the table for that year. So it was important for us to have this list and make sure that, we stayed to where the needs were, so that needs that we've been talking about for years didn't get passed over. However, sometimes things change, and I think to Brad's point, we are here now because we took on this challenge that we weren't necessarily looking at taking on when we decided that, we were going to take over the kid care during the summer. We weren't sure where it was going to go, weren't sure what was going to happen. I don't know that, at least in my mind, where the money was going to go. I would say I probably would have thought, the money was going to go back into that program because there was going to be needs in that program, and we're going to have to continue to grow that to make it what we had with the Boys and Girls Club program. So I agree. I don't know that we had that discussion, but I would probably say that, if I had to say, common sense probably would have said that most of that money is going to be reinvested back into that program. So, I guess in my opinion, if our leadership, starting with Stephanie, feels that in order for us to get that program to a place where we are truly offering our community everything that we can at that age level and continually grow our enrollment, then I guess I would probably say it's hard not to follow that recommendation. But having said that, we try to put a process in place, and I don't know that we necessarily follow that the way that we tried to. So I think there's...
The other thing is, I know most of these things we're trying to expand, but yet going from, okay, we have several people working at it now and adding a whole full-time position and not knowing how this is going to impact. I'd rather see, part-time position, or if this needs to be full-time, cutting back on the administrative person in that building to half-time or something, because I'm just wondering if it takes a whole full-time person at this point.
And I guess that's where, at this point, the only people we have to rely on, at least in my opinion, would be the people that are there to answer that. And I guess you tried to answer that, but I don't know that I can disagree, because I don't know that we do know. But we all do know if you're going to run a program and grow a program, you have to have a leader to start with. And so, I guess, I don't know if you guys have anything else to share on that, but.
Just to speak to the full-time position, this is not, and that's another one of the documents we shared, is just around the area, and I think the one that's probably the most comparable is Avon Albany. They do have this full-time position. They're even a district that's smaller than us, and their community ed director doesn't have all the same duties that I have. I have one big one that she does not have. So to me, that's a real big indicator of what we could have if I had this position in order to develop the enrichment and recreation programming and any other special events that might come along. So that's just one of those comparisons. Because I will say, if I'm just going to be quick, right, I don't know that the programming will be, you won't see the opportunities in the future very different from what you see today. And to me, that is a disservice to the community.
Is there a way to kind of work both pieces of this? I mean, I know you're saying that this position has to be filled now. Is there a way for us to work this into our budgeting plan that we had and hire this position if, we feel it needs to be, and I know you said it's year-round, and obviously we don't want to lose track of what is coming up in the spring. But is there a way to kind of ease into it, if that's even possible? I guess is it?
I think, thinking about this, I've been trying to think about this position in a part-time sense, and it is difficult, because even if I think about half-time, if they're not here every day, what days are they here? How do they prioritize that because of the programming and the situations that might come up on the day-to-day? And the fact that we have programs that start here and here and here and here, and so balancing that, I think it would be difficult. I don't think I could ever say it's impossible.
And this is just thinking out loud. I'm assuming there may be some, and I could be wrong, there could be staff maybe that are part of our community right now that would maybe be interested in this position. If so, would maybe one of them entertain growing into this position, where, ultimately the full-time person is needed, but we ease into it and we grow into it with a person that we think, could maybe do it. And again, I could be way out of line with what even is available with the type of people that we might have, but has that been looked at or thought about?
I guess the other thing is, if I saw that this person was going to be providing some of the coverage for, we talked about having more staff there at night to cover, right now basically we've got a custodian in the building. So if this was more of a person that would be covering nights and weekends and some of those times where we're kind of stretched to have enough people in that building, might be able to go along with it, but I still think I guess I would see maybe the description would need to be changed a little bit to say that this person has to also be a on-site, what do you call it?
So for example, if we have, this person is our liaison to the volleyball, the community ed volleyball happens at night. So that they might be around on nights where they can be directing to make sure the playoffs are being handled correctly and all those types of things that you're saying then.
Yeah, or...
In my opinion, I thought that's what this position entailed.
Right, so the goal would be that they flex their hours so that they can, some days we might have programming that starts in the day, and that might be more in the summertime where they would work a typical 8 to 4. There might be days during the school year, maybe it's the night or the week of that the adult volleyball program starts, and maybe they do work evening shifts that week to help onboard that program and get it running. So it would be flexible based on the need, and I would work with that person on identifying what those needs would be through their training process.
For me, just kind of taking a step back from the details of the position, I really struggle with accepting this new position outside of our budget process. And I just think that causes a lot of, secondary problems because we're doing it in isolation instead of looking at it as a whole. And for me, this isn't an urgent need. We do hire in the middle of the year when it's, an urgent student need. So for me, that's kind of number one, because it goes against kind of our best practice that the board has laid out.
Can I speak to that specifically?
Yeah.
So staff wanted to do it as part of the budget process for our original budget this year, and I actually pushed back and said, I think you should wait and see how Spartan Spot goes for the summer and how it gets reviewed, and then we'll do it with the revised budget. So that's why you're seeing it this time of year, so that we could put it in with the revised budget and see how Spartan Spot did. If we didn't work, if that programming didn't work out the way we wanted it to, then staff wasn't going to come with this. You'd have to look at Spartan Spot and revise things again, and then do it for the 2021 fiscal
Right.
year.
And
So that
yeah.
was more of me saying, no, wait for a revised budget and do it with the revised budget process.
I think it should have been on the list of, we put things on the list that we can't afford lots of times, where we want more counselors, or we want extra staff in EL or other programs. And then at least we know as we have money to fit in there. It just feels like if it would have been on the list last spring, so that other people would have a chance to look at, oh, this is a need that we might be looking at when we have money.
It's not on the long-term improvement list to invest in community ed?
It is, about $30,000 to $40,000, I think, is, and we talked about that last time, because I brought that up. So this is a bigger amount than what I think was on the long-term list.
And the long-term list was more
was not quite
coverage.
as specific.
Yeah, it was more coverage for the building, to make sure we had supervisors or people beyond the custodian there, and they, with all the programming that goes on.
And I don't know if it's ever been specifically identified as that, at least in my mind, it was kept general because of the
Before
amount of
you
times
came
that,
on,
I mean, I'm not sure about that. Since I've been here, my approach has been staffing as needed to evaluate programs, just at the rate of change that community ed can go at. They needed to keep it general to look at what was going on and recommend in those certain areas as it comes up.
And I would say it is different, because if you build it, they will come, and if they start coming, you have to have, some leadership to do that. So again, we'd like to have it be neat and have it be there, but I don't know that, and again, to Beth's point, right or wrong, not having it on there and evaluating it was, probably the responsible thing to do, to think about, can it support it? So I do think it's a little bit different than the normal things where, we'd like to do this, or we'd like to do that, or we'd really like to enhance this program, and there's these needs / wants that we need. So it is different. I think ultimately what it comes down to for me is, again, if you as leadership feel like you can rally your leaders within the building to support what we're doing, and that means getting the support of the teachers, and that means that we don't have divisions amongst us that are disappointed with this decision, then I would say okay. But that's a big ask, because if you have somebody along the ranks that is not buying into what the leader says, the coach says you're running this play. And as you guys all found out, if we didn't all believe in running that play, because we only had 10 guys on the field, and we still got it done. And everybody believed and nobody questioned. So I think if I use that analogy, and the leadership is, you're not begging, but I can see you feel very, passionate about this position. I gotta feel like you're gonna have everybody on board, and that means your leaders can't be out there telling groups of people, God, I'm disappointed, why they do that. And if that's happening, then you all need to reevaluate, make sure that that's not happening, because that's where we as school board members hear, and we got people out there telling us that isn't okay. So common sense would say, if our leadership says this is what we need to do to grow it, because it's a good thing for the school, we have the kids, I think we all understand it. I think my worry is what I just said. And I would need you to say to me, we got that. And if you think you can do it, taking this big step right here, I will trust that you got it. If it needs to be eased into it so that you can help everybody see the picture, so you don't have people in those ranks not feeling good. And again, that's a loaded ask, and it can't be perfect, but that's kind of where I sit.
Well, just like your analogy, it's always going to be measured on the outcome. So in that case, it was a good outcome, right? So great decision. We don't know what the outcome is here. I don't have any clear understanding of what the return on investment
But they all
here.
do the same thing. I wasn't really talking about the outcome. It was everybody believed that was what we needed to do. That's my concern, is that there might be, and again, we don't know that, because that's your team that is going on here.
I guess I would feel, it was on the list for like a $30,000 to $40,000 ask, I think, for long term.
It says 40 to 45, but it's estimated. All the stuff on here is estimated. There's a lot of items where I just put a value in. These are not like hard researched items. It's at least just to get something on the list, and it is the first item on Steph's list here.
So I don't know, I think, as much as it's easier to hire for a full-time position, seeing how that goes is, part growing it. Because yes, a lot more can happen putting a full-time person in, but it is a much more significant resource ask, I think, and that's just, I think a lot could happen even just having a little, half of a position potentially. So I don't know. That's where I'm sort of.
To me, I've thought about this one a lot, and it feels like it's a bigger decision, because if you guys are recommending something, especially adding a position, I trust you guys to, I genuinely trust you both to make good choices. But this one is just not sitting right with me, and part of it has to do with the timing. The other part of it is just some of the other needs that I see in the district as being just super urgent. And so, for me, I don't know that I'm ready to do it during the revised budget process. So that's just where I'm at. I appreciate all the information that you shared from the questions that we had. But I have a lot of questions about where,
I think the valuable piece that you shared with what other districts are doing, and as you alluded to, Albany Avon has this position, and that's smaller than our district. So I think that was a piece of information that said, okay, this isn't a unique ask, this isn't a unique demand or anything like that. That was helpful information. So, but I think I'm struggling with some of the timing too, and just the level. But I just to Kara's point too. I think you guys have done your homework and wanna make it the best you can. And I think it's just.
I'm just gonna call it out right now, because we need to move on. So here's the question I have then. So we table tonight, or we vote on it tonight, and it's a no. You're saying it's okay if we come back in the spring and ask for the same position because we budgeted for it for when we go through the budget process, but it's not okay now. That's the hard
I guess
part
when we go through the budget process, I think other people get more of a chance to look at the budget and say, hey, I've got a program over here. I really think my program is important and we need money there. So there's a little bit more back and forth between the programs and.
Well, the difference though is that this.
Yeah.
It's not allowed to go anywhere. We could charge back things from general ed, but then we haven't reinvested Spartan Spot into community ed like we wanted to, right? Cradle the casket, right? This is what community ed is for, is to try to get the whole
and I would.
community.
there's other things. So in one of your sheets, it said that there's a wait list for preschool. So that could be another priority.
There's
is
a wait
opening
list
that
for
class.
daycare too.
And
there's a wait list for a lot of things.
So just to
And there's
clarify.
some things that aren't even happening is really the big one.
So when you're saying other programs, or it doesn't sit right with you, you're talking about that money being invested within this cradle, as they're talking about.
In that same bucket.
Right, where I think, bucket's better, thank you.
No, I'm talking about who we serve, right? Defensive
Where I
drug.
think, Lynn, to your point, it can't go outside of that, so there are other.
I'm hearing some other needs within that.
That same, so you're talking about the same. So
Yeah.
I guess, again, I get what you're saying, Brett. It makes no sense to delay something that we really could capitalize on right now. However, I don't know what these other things are. And if there are other people saying that there's these other things, I don't know, I guess not all of us, I would like to know what they are then. I would like to know what are these other needs within the bucket that feel like they're not getting some of these resources, I mean, let's just bring it out in the open. What are they?
What I heard was from somebody on the curriculum committee who said, well, there's some needs for curriculum items in the early childhood program, and they've been told to come to the curriculum committee, and yet the curriculum committee has no money budgeted specifically for
Yeah, so
early
I
childhood.
took my staff through that,
Okay.
the list that I know you've seen, and that was me supporting other people on my staff who wanted to try and go that route. So there was never a no said to any of those items. It was we were going to try and go a different route first. So I did follow up with them regarding that, because I know that's part of the conversation we had last time too. And I think the really hard part, and it's definitely not easy to say, but early childhood is amazing, right? They have amazing programs, it's amazing staff, they do a lot of amazing things. But the way I describe it, and it's the most frank way I can say it, is that the rest of community ed does not exist solely for early childhood. We are that cradle, awful to think about, but cradle to casket. And when we can't serve anybody but early childhood, which is amazing, and I don't want to knock it at all, it's great. But why can't we serve the rest of the community in that same way and give them the same opportunities? That's what this position is for. And in that roundabout way, because as the instructional leader for early childhood too, I will say that my position has been lacking in that attention because of all these things that we've changed from the fall of 16 to the fall of 19, and still recognizing the places that we want to go. Early childhood won't get the attention that they should have, that they need to keep developing, if I can't have that time back. Especially if we're trying to maintain or still grow the enrichment and recreation programs for the rest of our community.
All right, so we've had a robust discussion over 2 board, no, this is our second board meeting. Where's the consensus? Do you want to go vote? Do you want to table it for another meeting? Do you want to bring it back through the budget process? Where is the board leaning?
I'd feel more comfortable if there was more buy-in from other people within the district, because I'm hearing people that aren't comfortable with this decision that we're supposed to be making. And maybe it just takes a little bit more work to get buy-in and move forward, but I hate to have a top-down, we're going to do this when other people aren't on board with this.
Then can you tell me who's not on board? And maybe we can do that privately.
Yeah.
So I can have a better sense of who's not on board with this position or with the process.
And again, not to continue to use analogies, but you can't build something, and feel like you're going somewhere if you don't start with the pieces that are going to help make it happen. So again, as a former teacher who would always have said, why they keep hiring all these administrators and all these things, I've been on the other side. I do understand in this case that we have a position that's going to help continue to grow what we decided to take on as a community, and I've heard some of the same concerns as well, and that's where I go back to, if you as our leaders feel like you can work through this and have everybody understand that this is where we need to go, I'd hate to be sitting here in 3 months hiring the same position, because then, to your point, why would we do that? If you're going to get ready, and again, to win a state title, guess what? We started practicing in June. We didn't wait until August. We started in June because that's what it was going to take. So if I go about it that way, and again, I wish maybe we would have been a little bit more direct with what our plan was if things went well. But I do understand that it's a little bit different because the money is in this bucket. Now, my only concern, and that's where I would hate to see us vote no tonight. I'd rather have us have the discussion about where these hotspots are and allow you as a team to figure out where they're at and help everybody, because it could be just education. It could be people don't understand where and how this money, because you take one position and you are able to do good here, then the people that were doing all these other jobs can do some of those other things. So And I'm kind of hearing that that's kind of the case. So I would be, and especially without Sonny being here, very uncomfortable with, no. I would rather see us try to find out, and again, I know you don't want this to continue to drag on, but I think we need to find out where those hot topics are, and if they can be educated, and you can come back, and your team and the people that have those issues are on board, and everybody's ready to run the same play.
I would recommend that we table this till the January 27th meeting then. Not the 6th, I don't want to do this on our organizational meeting.
Okay,
That's my recommendation.
okay, sounds good.
And can we make the recommendation that we make a decision that night, and we have that month to, or
I don't know if we should.
We won't pigeonhole ourselves, you're right.
Yeah, I guess what I'd be looking for is you're asking a commitment from the board or from the district to spend these dollars on a position. I guess I'd ask in return for a commitment on what the return on investment's going to be, and when, like, what classes do you, for example, how many more classes are you going to offer, and what is your projected enrollment, and at what point is this position going to be revenue producing?
It's incredibly variable, because I know that was one of the questions asked, and so I did throw out there that we would offer an increase 15 to 20 classes.
Okay.
Most classes have that minimum of 6 in order to run. Depending on how popular we think we can get it, we can make it cheaper by saying, no, we'll need less. And it's so based on trends and what people are really looking at that quantifying that is very difficult. The only thing I can say when looking at numbers is if the opportunities aren't there, there will be no growth. Okay? Right now there are limited opportunities, so we won't see that growth, and because of the variation in the amount of a program cost and instructor cost, because all of that is individualized,
sure,
it's incredibly hard. So that's why I tried to capture some idea of what, I took our top 100 customers and gave you that information, what that average is, depending on what kinds of programs they offered. That's probably one of the closest estimations you can see, is capturing those and increasing those opportunities, because any resource that I look at will tell you that you solely focus on your repeat customers. Like, you occasionally will grab in new customers, and a lot of them come from early childhood and all of that. So if you can keep getting those repeat customers, that's where that increase comes from. But I'm not going to get repeat customers if I don't have programs and innovative programs for them to participate in, or special events for them to attend and get acclimated with how it all works.
Okay. All right, so we'll see this back in our January meeting. Thank you, Sam. Okay, strategic planning.
So I met with Bruce Miles, and Bruce and I discussed strategic planning as far as looking for how we're going to get to that 2025 mark. Took that back to our administrative team. Our administrative team felt like doing this in January was a rush. I've been since in contact with Bruce, and Bruce says we can still get it done. But I need the board's direction. I need the board's direction on this. Do we want to try to get it done in January to be in place for our future budgeting plans, or do we want to hold off till March? One of the things about this is that I want to make sure that the board is clear on is that in order to have a good strategic plan, you really do need to get buy-in from staff and community. Mm-hmm. And so one of the ideas that I threw out to our administrative team is, could we do a distance learning day? So could we move a flexible learning type day to January or even to March, and then allow our staff to be fully invested in a 90-minute session with Mr. Miles? So we're basically going to get 100% at least participation, and then include the community in the night session. So you would have one whole day. There's pros and cons to that. The pros are you're going to get all staff at least, in those 90-minute sessions engaged and focused on that topic. The con is that you would lose a day of face-to-face instruction. You're not losing an instruction day, because the teachers are putting their curriculum online and whatever else, but you're losing that face-to-face. And our administrative team, rightfully so, values that face-to-face. I do as well. However, when you're talking about a plan that includes, that's going to guide the direction for a district for the next 5 years, is that one day of curriculum, or not, that one day of face-to-face, worth giving up in order to get the feedback and input from all of our staff and students through survey, and as well as our community.
Was there any discussion about making that potentially like on a early out day, and so like more sort of scheduled only a half a day, so really you're only missing maybe abbreviated classes, but that would maybe be less impact, or maybe having a...
The last one in January.
Pardon?
There's a half day at the end of January.
Yeah, because I think that might be
January 24th.
an opportunity to maybe, because the amount of information you can cover in an abbreviated session is going to be less already. And so that might be an opportunity. Or if we would want to do a early out a different day or a late start potentially, but I thought that the half day would probably be the best.
And so that's a good suggestion. I had thought of that, thank you, Jason. The days in January that Mr. Miles is available is January 8, 9, 10, 21, 22, 27, and 30.
And then does that fall on one of those half days?
It just the 24th, you said was a half day. So the 27th, which is a board meeting date, would extend a potential half day into, for a full day for a family potentially to be gone for half day on Friday and through Monday and still do their whatever. I just spewed something out there, disregard that. That was just jumble, sorry. So unfortunately the 24th is not available.
Do you have any dates from him in March? I don't know if we want to push it out that far, but there's an entire day off in March.
His days, I'd have to pull my email up to
that's fine.
Okay. March. But I guess what I would like from the board is the concept of wanting to know from the direction from the board is the face-to-face day or the lack of the face-to-face day important in helping us guide a direction. We can do the other way too, which you spend a lot of nights. You spend 90 minutes from 3 to 4:30, and you try to get staff to stay. We've done that before.
You're just saying if you can't find a different time, are we willing to give up the face-to-face to kids to do this?
Yeah.
Well, I think it's important. That's a hard one. I think I can probably either way, but I would like to see us figure out how to get all the teachers there. I think it's important.
Whatever's gonna yield the best outcome. So, gauging on what's gonna be most accepted, obviously it's not about me, but I would be willing to do whatever.
My only fear, the teachers that maybe don't agree with, the not doing it during the day, is that they're grumpy already. So they're not necessarily fully on board. So I think that's your challenge. I would say we need to do it. I think it's going to be up to you to figure out, can it be worked into a half day where we don't have to miss kid time, or does it have to be during kid time? That'd be mine.
All right.
Okay, that's what I needed, thank you.
Okay.
Do we do a motion there?
No,
there's
no, just a discussion. District-wide shutdown, we discussed this at our previous board meeting. Well, we've discussed it, I think this is our third time.
Yep.
In regards to the week-long furlough in July, and I'll turn it over to you, Brad.
Yeah, I think you saw that, again, so from our discussions, we talked about being closed. We talked, through options 1, 2, and then the last time we met, we talked about option 3 about being closed only on the July 3rd date. again, I think this is in response to what our community is asking from us, especially those who work over the 4th of July week. And as administration, we can certainly be tasked to figure out how to work that furlough out. And I think I provided the language on what that would look like. Any questions on that language piece? Carrie, do you want to read that language for me? I lost my computer.
Oh, yeah. I'll pull it up. Do you guys have a page on that?
I don't think I was gonna ask you.
No, it's just an option 1, 2, 3. There's no language.
Wasn't there some language in there?
The recommendation says the Rocori School District will no longer require a week-long furlough around the 4th of July holiday week.
Oh.
So that would be the motion. Then there's the 3 options of
We have to
it's
vote
on the
on
agenda.
option.
I think the vote is on the language, because that's the direction.
Where are you finding that language?
On the agenda.
It's on the agenda, right there, underneath letter F.
So it's not in,
Oh,
there's
yes.
nothing in
And
there.
so really the impact here,
It's just in the agenda.
if we're thinking globally here, the impact is when would there not be childcare available to people? And that's who we're really affected.
And our senior centers.
And new senior center. So senior center wouldn't be available and
Childcare is not.
childcare would not be available
Right.
on whatever days we're closed. Okay.
And this is still allowing, for example, if we needed to wax all the floors at Cold Spring Elementary and they needed the 4-day downtime or something, we can still close that particular building. Is that, I mean,
We would do some schedule, we would have to do some creative schedule.
yeah,
Yep.
but it doesn't mean we can't be strategic and get the things done that we need to get done that we would typically do over that week.
Correct.
Okay.
So, all right, so we need to make a motion on this.
I'd like to see us to make a motion on the language.
And it's a resolution.
It's
Okay, so we no longer will have that week just off.
It won't be a furlough
Right.
anymore.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, aye.
Oh,
Oh.
no, we have to make.
Oh, I'll make a motion.
Do you want to?
Hey, I mean, I'm moving this thing along. We're past
There
this.
you go. You're running the meeting now.
Well,
Sounds like you've got a new job. Okay, so can you just read the language?
The Rocori School District will no longer require a week-long furlough around the 4th of July holiday week.
So Shannon makes the motion.
Correct, yes.
Second.
Second by Lynn. Is there any further discussion? All right, this is a resolution and a roll call vote. All those in favor, starting with Shannon, please begin, or please say aye.
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 All right, the resolution passes, so
Thank you.
thank you. All right. We have the revised budget. We reviewed this at the November 25th meeting, and we're able to ask questions on the revised budget. And there is a recommendation that we approve the 2019-2020 revised budget as presented. Are there any other questions on the budget? Is there a motion?
Motion to approve the revised budget.
Second.
Motion by Lynn, second by Shannon. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The revised budget is approved. Thank you for your work on that, Beth. Resolution for combined polling places. Yeah,
Yep, so in the event that we would need a special election outside of a general election, in order to keep the cost down for districts, you are allowed to combine your polling places within the cities or precincts. And so we do recommend, if there was any chance that we do this annually. So I think Holly, the polling place in Cold Spring is?
Richmond is River Lakes Arena,
Yep.
and then the other two are at the City Hall. Cold Spring City Hall and Rockville City Hall. Those are the three. And they have not changed in the past few years.
Okay. So in the event we would have to have a special election, this would save the district money. but it's something we have to do on an annual basis.
Absolutely.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Lynn, second by Jennifer. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The motion carries. Payment to the Cold Spring Bakery.
We need to certify the levy first.
Oh, sorry, I skipped over that. Okay, certification of the school tax levy. This is in regards to the information here at the truth and taxation hearing. And are there any other questions on certifying the levy?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Lynn, second by Shannon. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Certification of the school tax levy is approved. Beth, thank you for your work on that as well. We've been busy. As usual.
I'll make a motion to make a payment to Cold Spring Bakery, check number 102879 in the amount of $313.61.
Motion by Jason,
Second.
second by Shannon. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Abstain.
And Lynn abstains. Motion carries. The item K, 8K, there's a proposal for an FTE of 0.5 to special education teacher, and with the other 0.5 being a special education assessment for the 3 elementary schools. Brett, do you want to?
Yeah, absolutely. So tonight I'm asking the board to approve a position that would be a part-time special ed teacher who would be in Richmond and at this time Cold Spring. However, should needs arise, that this person could have flexibility. And then the second part of that position is an assessment. And again, that does, it's not all 3 elementary schools. We met just and talked about this administratively today. I wish that didn't say 3 elementary schools, and I wish that would have said Rocori schools, because should there be a need where somebody would have an initial assessment at, say, 612, that person would then come over and help do that initial assessment. So mislabeled on the item, and I'll own that as well. And I think that will be very helpful, that again, the admin team knows that position is not just solely based in the 3 elementary schools. And now the teaching part of it is right now because it's student load, but the assessment piece would be available for an initial evaluation in 612 should that arrive.
And this has been an issue that has come up in negotiations in the past, correct?
That is correct.
That the people that we have on staff don't have time to do the assessments. Right?
There is a lot of requirements behind